Starbucks was founded in 1971 by Jerry Baldwin, Gordon Bowker, and Zev Siegl, with its first store near Seattle's historic Pike Place Market. The three Starbucks founders had two things in common. They came from academia and loved coffee and tea. They borrowed and invested money to open the first Starbucks in Seattle, which they named Starbucks, after Herman Melville's classic novel, Moby Dick's first mate, Starbucks. But what is the story behind this coffee giant's success? History. Let's explore the historic trail of Starbucks. Alfred Peet, a coffee roasting entrepreneur, was a major inspiration to Starbucks founders. Peet was a Dutch immigrant who started importing fine Arabica coffees into the U.S. in the 1950s. In 1966, he opened Peet's Coffee and Tea in Berkeley, California, specializing in importing high-quality coffees and teas. Peet's success inspired the Starbucks founders to build their business model around selling high-quality coffee beans and equipment, and Peet's became Starbucks' first supplier of green coffee beans. Baldwin and Bowker then purchased a used roaster from Holland and experimented with Alfred Peet's roasting techniques to create their own blends and flavors. By the early 1980s, Starbucks had opened 4 stores in Seattle that distinguished themselves from the competition with high-quality fresh roasted coffee. Siegl left the company in 1980 to pursue other interests, leaving the 2 remaining partners, with Baldwin taking over as president. The Howard Schultz era. Howard Schultz entered the coffee industry 30 years ago with the single intention of improving the human-coffee relationship. As chairman and CEO of the Fortune 500 company, he was then in charge of Starbucks, one of the most cherished brands in the world with a market value of at least $3 billion. But the road to the top wasn't straightforward. How did Schultz overcome hardship to build a small Seattle coffee shop into the biggest coffee chain in the world? Schultz was born into a working poor family in the Brooklyn projects. Who was Howard Schultz? Howard Schultz was born in Brooklyn, New York, to a Jewish family. His mother Elaine worked as a housewife, and his father Fred Schultz was a former U.S. Army trooper who later drove trucks. Howard's only means of escape from his family's poverty was sports. During his time in school, he enjoyed playing basketball and football because he was a natural athlete. He received an athletic scholarship to the University of Northern Michigan. He was notable for being the first member of his family to attend college. In 1975, after receiving his Bachelor of Science in Communication from the university, he began working as a salesman for Xerox Corporation. When Howard Schultz tried to get funding, he was turned down 242 times. He had a different plan for expanding Starbucks after joining in 1983. He traveled to Milan, Italy to make purchases and noticed that there were coffee shops on almost every street. This is the point at which the ideation started. He had the idea that Starbucks ought to start selling coffee beverages in addition to coffee beans. However, the company's founders, not him, had the original idea. He argued with the owners until they finally agreed to let him open a coffee bar in their brand new Seattle store. Howard had been in need of this small step. The new Starbucks location was an instant success, attracting hundreds of customers each day. However, the Starbucks owners refused to pursue the idea. They had no desire to work in the restaurant industry. Schultz left Starbucks in 1985, frustrated and disappointed, to launch his own coffee bar chain, Il Giornale. This was also a huge success, and after 2 years, Howard bought Starbucks. Despite several failures as a result of his oath, he never gave up on his dream. His struggles made him stronger, and he was able to accomplish his goals. The crisis. Starbucks employees in Buffalo are awaiting the results of the vote to form a works council. Workers in a Starbucks cafe in Buffalo, New York, have broken into the Starbucks empire. The employees at the Elmwood Street location have elected a works council in the last few days. It was revealed on Thursday evening. The Works Council, which is a member of the United Workers Union, is the company's 50-year-old coffee company's first organized workforce in the United States. The union was defeated in a second branch in Buffalo when the workers voted against a works council. In a third branch, The U.S. Labor Authority has yet to reach a decision because the union regards 7 votes against as invalid. Starbucks is said to have smuggled in workers who voted against a works council from other branches. The union's campaign to establish a works council sparked national interest and cost Starbucks a significant amount of time and money. In the run-up to the elections, the company promised wage increases ranging from $14 to $17 per hour by the summer of 2022, up from the current average of $14. At the same time, Starbucks hired 70 new recruits across the country in order to increase the number of employees significantly. During the pandemic's first year, hospitality wages in the United States increased by 6.9% across the board. Starbucks is thus reacting late to a trend that Buffalo workers had long noticed during the pandemic. Workers in the United States are no longer as easily replaced. The epidemic was the main reason for this development. Sociology professor Aaron Hatton told, "The cafes were severely understaffed. The baristas feared the contagion because there are many mask refusers in Buffalo. You felt like you had to turn your head without the employer helping with the chronic understaffing," said Hatton, a Buffalo University professor. According to Starbucks employee Alexis Rizzo, who was quoted by The Washington Post, the pools of potential employees that her boss had consistently cited as a threat had suddenly dried up. It was at this point that Rizzo, a worker at a fast food restaurant, for the first time felt less interchangeable. In Europe, Starbucks is notable for its aggressive tax evasion. In Buffalo, it is notable for its opposition to unions. In order to agitate against workers' representatives, managers flocked to Buffalo and worked in the shops there under the direction of the top management. In the branches of the city, 200 new baristas were hired. Even billionaire and renowned Starbucks marketer Howard Schultz hosted a seminar and charged staff to attend his speech. Starbucks views itself as a left-wing liberal company, always refers to its employees as partners, and provides unique extra benefits like a free online university education or health insurance for part-time employees. Following the vote, a Starbucks spokeswoman stated that the business maintained its position and that the circumstances did not call for a works council. An upbeat mood is produced by the election of the works council. In the city of Mesa, Arizona, new initiatives have been made to hold elections for the Works Council. Washington, where the NLRB is more pro-worker than before under President Joe Biden, also contributes to the upbeat atmosphere. She, for instance, rejected Starbucks' attempts to increase the barriers to the election of works councils in Buffalo. The NLRB also mandated a new election in November in one of the group's camps in Alabama due to Amazon's illegal anti-union agitation. Representative Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez and Senator Bernie Sanders, both prominent members of the Democratic Party's left wing, praised the unions for their tenacious victory. For a very long time, works councils were utterly unheard of in the USA. The United Workers Union is optimistic that the fast food sector has made progress. But even in the store on Elmwood Street, there is still a long way to go. Starbucks has a reputation for closing locations quickly. Although works councils are legally protected, U.S. law permits employers to hire and fire employees almost at will. A worker can always be fired for an error, and branches can even be closed. Working hard is the key to success, as demonstrated by Jazz Brissac. For the past 2 years, the barista has advocated for the creation of works councils. The student, along with former President Bill Clinton, received recognition for her academic accomplishments as a Rhodes Scholar. She could have gone to Oxford, England, to study philosophy and politics there. She delayed this, though, in order to stir up trouble in Buffalo. First with the tiny chain Spot Coffee, and then with the big name in coffee. The election's outcome is a respectable victory, but it is embarrassing for Starbucks. That is all about Starbucks' insane humiliation. If the video was interesting, subscribe to our channel and drop a comment. Don't forget to hit the like button. See you in the next one.